Welcome to Team DataFam Tableau User Group meeting number 12. This tug is aimed at the presenter, the audience. So we meet at different times around the world, depending on when the presenter is available to host our meetings. We always record the meetings and post them on YouTube so you can watch them later. And over the next coming months, we have some great TC25 presentations, but also because Visit Sydney was on last Monday, Tuesday, today's Friday, we've already got some Visit Sydney presentations scheduled as well. So check the website, usergroups.tableau.com, check the schedule on there. You'll get invites as new meetings occur and just pop them in your diary if you can attend. All the recordings are on YouTube, so you can watch those later as well. If you would like to present anything at all, please email me. My email is team.datafam@gmail.com. But today we've got Shazeera presenting her TC25 talk, which is called Tableau Meets Comics, Data Storytelling Reimagined, And we're going to look at how to integrate some comic storytelling techniques, principles into your dashboard and create dynamic and engaging dashboards. So I'll hand it over to you, Shazeera.
Thank you so much, Chris, for the lovely introduction. And I just want to congratulate and thank you again for creating this space for DataFam so that we can have an inventory of sources and knowledges for everyone to catch up with different topics and different ideas. So I would really encourage everyone to follow this tag because I think it's a very, very interesting idea to have a tag that is speaker-centered rather than audience-centered. So thanks again. And thank you for having me.
Awesome. Thank you.
So I just want to say that if there's one thing that you will get from my presentation today is to have fun and to think outside the box. I mean, as someone who works with data, you know, data in, data out is all about crunching the numbers, building the insights, drawing perspectives. So I always feel like you need to allocate some time to look at other fields, other inspirations that you can bring into your work, into how you tell your stories. And so this is actually the premise and the foundation of my presentation. Have fun. So I will share my presentation now. I hope I do it correctly. Can you see it, Chris?
Yep, that's perfect.
Okay. So today we're going to talk about, or I rather, will present to you how I actually look at comic storytelling and apply it to how I tell stories about data. And so just a bit of insight. The last time I looked into a research around comic readers in the world that was done by sci-fi-tech.com, it was mentioned that 50 million people read comics every month last year. And that just says a lot about how influential comics are to many people as a source of reading, as a hobby, as something that they can relate to. And over the years, we also see how the purpose of comics have evolved. So you have the typical traditional storytelling of, you know, superheroes saving the world, and then how people use comics to tell stories about their life, writing about memoirs. And also in some other ways, they are also used to visualize data. So hence, something that we call data comics also emerged quite recently, where people use comics to explain about a certain field or a certain research finding. And the reason why I'm so interested in comics is I am a comic artist. I've been drawing comics for the last 12 years of my life. And I really believe in the power of visual storytelling and always, you know, see and try to capture and transfer some of this experience into the work that I'm doing now, especially in my work in data analytics. Now for today, we're going to quickly go through 4 elements. And the first one is basically where I want to do a quick survey, depending on how many people we have on board to also do this quick survey. But it's to actually look at, what are your needs and what are your obstacles in telling your stories on Tableau. And then the second one, we're going to go into the power of comics, looking at some examples in the DataFam. And then I'm going to share with you some comic tools and tips for dashboarding. And last but not least, let's look at some of the main takeaway points from my presentation. So I don't know how many people we have, but if we do have anyone online now with me, if you can just, scan that particular QR code, and you will be led into a form, into a Google form. I would like you to answer those questions, and then we're going to look at the result in a bit. So I wonder how many people we have to do this.
We've got a few. We got
a few?
6.
Okay.
Yeah, so we've got enough.
Okay. Let's try.
Looking at how to read the form, but anyway.
I'm just curious, and just to see, if there anyone who wants to do this very, very quick survey. I see only one result so far. Haven't seen more.
So I've submitted. Andy's put in the chat that he submitted. If people enter in the chat when they've just submitted their details. As a school,
okay, I'm seeing some result now, but apparently I have to do it like that, which is okay, right? So if the pie chart starts splitting into 5, I'll be in trouble of best practices. But otherwise, so far we have like 3 dominant results so far. So if I could just maybe start looking at the results. So the first one is actually, the question was, what is your biggest challenge in your Tableau dashboarding right now? And so what I can tell is that 50% of you feel the dashboard is overloaded with unnecessary data. And quite an equal result, so 25% each, saying that either it's about the charts and graphs that could lead to false conclusions, and how data has been poorly managed, leading to data inaccuracy and inconsistency. So these are the ones that you say were your biggest challenges. I'm sure there are others here that are relevant to you, but let's just continue with the next one. And the next one is, what is the most needed skill right now for you to improve your Tableau dashboards? And based on the 4 responses, it's equal again, 50%, 50%. So 50% of you think is the ability to assess and understand stakeholder needs. And another 50% thinks that it is the ability to create compelling and effective visual representations. So again, just to share that during the TC, I have as well a majority of people saying that they find it a challenge to guide an audience through a data-driven story, which is also, I think, one of the main obstacle that I also see when I did the same presentation in London last year. So I can say that, more or less, we all are having the same sort of challenges when it comes to improving the way we tell our stories on Tableau dashboards. So, but then what inspired me further from the exercise was that I started thinking about building superheroes based on the challenges and needs of all the needs and challenges we face on building a Tableau dashboard. And I thought of them as superheroes. So I tried to reimagine them as superheroes, and you will see how this set of superheroes and supervillains will be guiding you throughout my presentation. So let's get to know every single one of them. So for those who say that you have difficulty in understanding your stakeholders, so I thought of this character called the empathizer. So he is basically the one who can actually decipher unspoken requirements, identify key performance indicators lurking in the subconscious of your stakeholders. So, and an interesting thing about the empathizer, he's also based on my very own pet, my cat Minu, and he's the kindest cat I ever met in my life. So that's why he inspired empathizer. And if you see the QR code over there, it's for you to also scan. If you want to get a version of the empathizer, an AI version of the empathizer, which was, very, very trendy a few weeks back, where everyone tried to do that on ChatGPT, creating yourself as a figurine. So I also create that for all the superheroes and supervillains I'm presenting today. Now, the second one is Lady Access. Now, for those of you who felt like you struggle in terms of creating or building the right charts to visualize the data, now she's your superhero. So basically, she's the one who has the superpower to visualize complex data sets and reveal all the hidden trends and insights that you need from your data. So that is Lady Access. The third one is Dedomena, and Dedomena is the one who actually is the gatekeeper of truth, or shall we say, the one who ensures that the data integrity and clarity is secured and protected in the Tableau universe. So I recall just now how you say that you have problem with inaccuracy of data, and you struggle sometimes with that in terms of how data is managed. So Dedomena is the superhero for you. And then we have white space. So white space in particular he's the one who's very good in terms of design and prototyping and creating dashboards. They're not necessarily just beautiful, but also accessible to everyone. So that's white space for you. And then you have Nexus, and Nexus is the master storyteller. So she's the one who has the ability to tell stories, even complex stories, and transforming all kind of data into insightful tales and stories that help you understand better context and the people and the stories behind the numbers. So that's Nexus for you. Now, you also mentioned about the challenges that you face in dashboarding in Tableau. And so that also sort of inspired me to create the supervillains. Of course, if you have superheroes, you have to have supervillains, right? So these are the supervillains, or these are the obstacles that you face in dashboarding or in telling your stories on Tableau. The first one is what we call the metric madness. So beware of the metric madness, because he's the one who actually could mislead you with your numbers through, faulty metrics, unclear, lack of clarity of metrics. So he's the one who actually behind those challenges that you face. The next one is void obscura, and void obscura is the one who actually can create chaos because of the problem that he brings in clarity of data. And he is, of course, the antithesis of Nexus, because he ensures context vanishes and leave a lot of the Tableau users lost due to the lack of context. Chaos is another supervillain that I created, who basically is the one who create or who bring confusion and sow utter discord through the wrongful type of charts or representations or visualizations that he created. So he's also quite scary, and I think one of the main challenges we face in Tableau dashboarding. And then code error is another one, and code error is one who actually is responsible for creating problems of inaccuracy and problems with the problems that you face with your data or with your data sources. And last but not least is the king of everyone, or the chief of the supervillain, is overload. So basically, overload is basically creating an overloaded dashboard. That's what he does beautifully, and that is his power as a supervillain. Not only by crowding your dashboards with data, but also with meaningless metrics. And that has been causing a lot of wars between stakeholders in the Tableau universe history. So these are just superheroes for you to play with, for you to have fun with. But I thought maybe capture some of the elements or essence of the needs and the challenges that we have. And so today, as you go through my presentation, as you follow me on my journey, you will see them everywhere in my slides, trying to guide you into how some of these techniques can help you either provide the needs that you want, or also address the challenges that you have in your dashboarding. So let's go to the power of comics in the DataFam. What I say is not necessarily original. It has been advocated before by other people like Brent Dykes, Scott McCloud, and also people in DataFam. I can see from time to time how comics become the inspiration for a lot of the visualizations that I see on Tableau Public. So today I just want to share with you some of those really great examples that stood out to me as how they use the power of comics in their storytelling. So the first one is also one of my favorite, is by Nicole Classen, when she told a story about environmentalism and then the woman-led business. And this is a very, very super fun, colorful visualization that really followed the traditional paneling of comics. And it was also voted as a Vis of the Day, and I would really recommend you to check it out. The next one is also similar like Nicole by Robert Rouse, where it again look at the data set of, the typical data set that we use on Tableau, and how he visualized it as well as a comic story. I also find it really well done. And then the last one, I never met this person. I don't know where she is, so I just put them Melissa because that's her profile. And I really love the way she tells a very, very difficult story about cancer that's suffered by women. It's a very difficult, and loaded story to tell, but she did it really well using comic storytelling on Tableau. And again, you have to Google Melissa and maybe cancer suffered by women, and then you can, check out his work, her work. Other than that, there's a lot of other works in the DataFam that are inspired by comics, and not necessarily just the style, but also comic as the content. So there were also attempts of looking deeper into Marvel universe, into manga, into the color palette of some of the comics that they love. Me personally, recently during the last Iron Vase, I was very much inspired by the way the characters in manga are being drawn, the zoom in of characters where you can see the details of their face. And that's what inspired me in my INV submission, which was about my experience in a decade of live music. As you can see, it's also featured here. I share with you, where I also try to bring in some of the elements of comics that inspired me. So again, I say, comics can inspire you in many ways, in the style, in the color palette, even in the content itself, in how you tell your story. So I hope that, this could give you some inspirations as well. So now let's just go to the main course, which is the comic tools and tips for dashboarding. And we're going to look at some of the devices and tips in storytelling in comics that you can use. I love this quote by Scott, where he says that creating a comic is like building a house. So you start with a blueprint, then you lay the foundation, the frame, and the structure, and then finally you add the details, right? And it sounds almost the same like when you build a dashboard, right? You start with sketching them, or creating the foundation, thinking about how you're going to lay down the numbers. It's actually, having the same approach as well. And I think all visual storytelling in many ways have this common trait. So is it true though? Are we really convinced that these techniques are transferable? So I just want to show you two examples of how there there's a clear overlap between comics and data storytelling. How, Stephen Few say that how in data visualization is all about arrangements, it's all about clarity, it's all about sequencing. And this is exactly like how Will Eisner described comics as a sequential art. So clearly there is an overlap between the two. So let us look at the first technique, which is panel composition. So in comic storytelling, panel composition refers to how you arrange the panel to give the correct and the right sense of flow and rhythm to your story. And the panel are not necessarily stagnant or fixed in nature. The size can be bigger or smaller. The placement can be different. You can have a wider gutter, a closer panel. And all of these are key and important in explaining the transition from one story to the other between the panel. So panel composition is the first technique that I want to highlight. So what are some of the use cases in data storytelling or dashboarding? So I can think of 3 ways of how we use it in our dashboarding. The first one is, of course, paneling from the comic storytelling can definitely help us in building a really good narrative structure for our dashboard. So even now as a data analyst, I am so familiar or so used to storyboarding when I draw my comics that I also do or use the similar technique when I'm building a dashboard. So basically, I create the structure for the whole dashboard and use paneling for it. And while I was doing that, the second thing that I noticed can be very helpful is how I use the paneling to stress on the hierarchy and the emphasis of the story. So basically, by prioritizing certain panels, it can also give my reader a sense of what is important and what is needed in that particular time or for that particular report that I'm creating. The third thing is flow and progression. So sometimes maybe, it's a complex story that we have to tell in our dashboard. And so paneling helps you to breathe and to decide the flow and the progression of the story. Sometimes you are building a dashboard for an executive. The stories need not be so technical. They only want to know the numbers. So then you decide the flow and progression and you start paneling. So this can also be a way for you to exercise clarity, to self-edit yourself, and then to decide properly what you want to have on your dashboard. The second thing is story pacing. Now, as you notice there are 3 superheroes there guiding story pacing. So you know that this is related to them. So story pacing is basically what we use in comics to control the speed of the story. You would think that, okay, how do we do that with comics, right? It's only on the paper. But actually, the way the comic storytelling is doing it is by using 2 techniques. One we call decompression, and the other one we call compression. So what does decompression, before I go to decompression, allow me to go to compression first. So compression is basically the traditional way of how storytelling is being done. It's basically, it's very fast paced. It's from one panel to the other. The story moves in a very quick and fast way. It's normally quicker to arrive at the conclusion of a scene or a scenario. And it's also one of the more traditional ways of how comic stories are being told. Decompression comes a bit later when comic artists then start to think about comics as if having a cinematic experience where they want to zoom in, they want to focus on a specific part of the story to understand the characters that are having maybe an inner monologue, to look at their expressions, the intensity of the scene and all that. So they start to decompress the story. And you see this a lot nowadays in graphic novels or in comics that are done in series as well, where the story just stretch, but not for the sake of stretching. It's actually for the sake of giving space to emphasize on the impactful moments, the significant events, and to let the story breathe. So these are the 2 types of story pacing that you can see in comic storytelling. So how do you apply that to your dashboards? So I see that there are two types of ways that you can use, and this really depends on what you want to achieve with your dashboard. So for decompression, for instance, it can help you to provide more context and depth to your story. So for instance, it helps you to offer more details. Let's say you have a particular data point that needs more explanation, or need more supporting evidence or context, then you can actually provide more details and decompress this particular point. You can do it with your tooltips. I like to put another chart, for instance, into the tooltip, so then it could give a bit more of an elaborate explanation to the particular point. Or you can even have using different space in the dashboard to do this. So it's all about how you can offer additional details. And then in that sense, it helps you then to highlight the important connections that you want to build based on the details that you added. So again, it's not just for the sake of explanation, the sake of just adding details, but again, it's to allow that data point to breathe, to give it space, and then to offer, why is it an outlier? Why is it different from the rest? Why is there a spike in the data? So decompression can help you with that. Now, compression is very useful to focus on key points, and it really helps in highlighting critical insights. So that, for instance, your executive management, they only want to see quickly, concisely data that impact their decision making. So compression really helps you in focusing on the most essential data points. So they're simple, they're normally easy to understand, and compression also means sometimes that you can avoid the clutter and excessive information. So whenever I want to compress something, I know it will become, buns, big angry numbers, or very simple tables, very simple bar charts that is not so difficult for people to immediately get to the point of the story that I want to tell. The next device or technique that I would love to share is called character-driven. And as you can already know, if you are a comic reader, that comic storytelling really focus on development and exploration of characters, because you want to root, or you want to follow the story, you want to root for the characters. Therefore, the elements that make you, want to have this connection with them is their personalities, their motivations, and the relationships that they build with the other characters. Like you always feel like you want to root for Superman and his parents or adopted parents, or the background story for Batman losing his parents, and that's why he became Batman. So all these nuanced character arcs actually make you kind of like feel they are relatable. And so character-driven is very much one of the most important aspects of comic storytelling. Now, I know that we deal with numbers in our datations or reports, and sometimes we forget the person or the person behind these numbers. So I like to think of ways of how we can bring in the person behind the number, and this is where character development is something that I would love to push for in my data visualizations. Even the business dashboards that I do, for instance, to tell the story of a customer's journey, to highlight these people, the clients, or the personnel that you work with, depending on the stories that you're telling. So I would love to always bring that element whenever necessary, of course, and whenever we need that. For instance, when I have to build dashboards about the female traders, who are they as a trader? Where do they live? How old are they? The frequency of their tradings, and when do they trade actually in their life? So all of these elements are really about understanding the character, i.e. The person that you are visualizing in your report. And of course, some of the feedback that I get, really interesting questions I get at TC was that, but what happened if by doing that, you are actually maybe letting a certain person to be discriminated, or you know, you are showing like maybe it's not the best way to show the numbers, because then people tend to focus on the characters more on the numbers. Well, my response to that has always been like, you have to look and understand the objective of your reports, what you want to do, what you want to tell. And if you are really trying to build a dashboard that tells the stories about your customers, about your clients, then character-driven technique is super useful for you to build a very effective dashboard. The last but not least is what I call onomatopoeia and visual cues. So I know this sounds like, how can I do this for my business dashboards? Well, of course, depends on the policy of the company, you know, the best practices that you have, the guidelines. But then I always thought it's interesting that there is such thing in comic storytelling, where it allows you to have sound effects to be added to the context, so that you can follow the story better. You can follow the flow of the story better. So basically, onomatopoeia means is the use of words that imitate sounds made in the comics. But maybe my proposal here is not so much to literally have onomatopoeia on your dashboards, right? But I guess in some cases, you can look if they can be used to make a certain point of data stand out, to capture the attention, and to encourage people to explore your report better. And I also feel like the use of onomatopoeia can make complex data more accessible to the wider audience, including those who may not be data savvy or still have concerns about exploring data or reports. It could be a fun way to educate people about data. I just want to share here an example of, you know, one of a very interesting way used by Ghaffar Shah on Tableau Public, how he used onomatopoeia in some parts of his visualization, bringing in the bubbles, you know, the way the comics are carrying the sound in its storytelling. And I think it's just interesting. But of course, this is very much a very personal dashboard. Then for business dashboards, you have to think about its whether it's suitable or not for you to use it. So let's go to some of the takeaway points from my presentation today. And remember, having fun is important. But then some of the takeaway points, and I have 5 here, is that first, no matter which technique you use, you have to be intentional about it. You know, don't use it for the sake of using it. And at the end of the day, it's about you trying to prioritize the key insights or stories that you want to tell. Second is, I always feel decompressing your dashboard with simpler viz wherever necessary can be a very, very strong weapon. Because as I said before, like your challenge could be an overloaded dashboard. And sometimes it's good to just move away from giving all the numbers you want on a dashboard and think about how, you know, you want to compress and decompress your dashboard. Third is, I think is always good to highlight the people behind the numbers, especially if the purpose of the dashboard is to tell the stories about your customers, your clients, your personnel. So character-driven storytelling or character-driven technique could be very useful here. The fourth one is amplify your insights at the right moment to catch attention. So this is just to capture the spirit of onomatopoeia, where, you know, you have to know the moment where you have to highlight your insights to ensure that people will get what you're trying to tell them. And last but not least, I know that I introduced you to all the superheroes, but I always believe that we all are the superheroes of our own dashboard adventure. So I just want to invite you and welcome you to continue, be imaginative, be creative, be playful, and bring some of the elements into your work with data. So I also have the comic version of my presentation that you can get from the link that I share here. It's on Medium, so you have to register first, I think, on Medium to access it. But this is also to sort of summarize my presentation in a very interesting way. And here are all the references that I used today for my presentation. And I think maybe my presentation will be shared after this with all of you by Chris. But you also can get a copy of it from the Salesforce Plus, where all the presentations and documentations for TC25 is hosted. So thank you very much for your time and for listening to my presentation today. Thank you.
That was awesome. And you've stopped sharing your screen already, which is even better.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's good. It's good. It's all good. You usually have to remind people to stop sharing their screen, and it was easy.
Oh my God, why do I do that? Okay, I'm so sorry.
No, it's good. Has anyone got any questions? There wasn't any questions in the chat. I'd sort of, even before you said the first QR code, I was like, what's the QR code for? It's just like, yes, a little blister pack of the superhero ready to go. You're right. Everyone went through the fad of doing it. It's just like, it was sort of, in a way, it was overdone, but it was really cool at the same time to see what everyone was doing. No one's got any questions? It's okay. We can get to questions soon as well if we need to. So there's all Shazeera's contact details. Obviously, I didn't share my slides or check my slides because I didn't realize I chopped your first name off, unfortunately. But again, X, LinkedIn, Medium, or Tableau Public.
Thank you. Yeah. And
sorry, go.
Yeah, sorry. Just to say that if you are interested to see my comics, you can also, I didn't put the link here, but basically you can Google Shazeera portfolio. You will be lead as well to my comics, the comics that I've done before. Yeah.
Yep.
So
are those links on Medium? Because Anna's just asking for the links as well. Or you can put them in the chat in a minute.
That's okay. I can do that.
We'll find them. We'll add them. Or post about it on LinkedIn or X or something, so everyone else can see it. That's good.
You'll be surprised that I'm not active on X anymore.
I sort of when I saw your account, I went, "But it's not sure. You're never sure whether people are just stopping for a while or have stopped or whatever. That's okay."
Yeah, I'm trying not to. I'm very active more on LinkedIn nowadays. So LinkedIn is the place if you want to check my work or updates and stuff. And the rest on my medium.com and public Tableau. But I'm not, I don't think I'm on X anymore in a way. So but yeah. just to share.
Yep, that's okay. Okay, so the last sort of segment, official segment, is the Fast Five. 5 quick questions, quick answers. There's no wrong answers. It's just what your impression is immediately. Just for the audience. It's not scary. So it's not meant to be scary. It's meant to be fun.
Okay.
And yes, the scary bit is you've never seen these questions before. There's no right or wrong answer to this. It's just what you think the right answer is. That's the right answer. Yeah. Are you ready?
Whew, let's go.
Are you ready? Okay. First question. What's one Tableau feature you wish you used more on, and why haven't you?
That's very interesting. I think the storytelling format, the
Yep, the story with the navigation on the top.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
That's cool.
I think there's I can say that's one of the feature, right? Because I felt like I've used the other features. A lot of things are more on calculations and stuff. Now I'm explaining myself, which takes away the fun from it. But yeah, the storytelling. I'm a chaos, Chris.
Yep, that's easy.
What do I know?
Exactly. Everyone uses Tableau differently, so there's no wrong answer.
Yeah. I wish I would use that one more.
Yeah. Which Tableau feature do you think is underrated, and why do you feel that way?
This is all Tableau related. Okay. Yeah, I don't think so much about the Tableau features that I use.
That's cool. That's fine. Not a problem at all. Move on to question 3. Which Tableau skill do you feel the most proud of mastering?
I think I'm proud in mastering the map layers. Is that a skill? Um,
Definitely.
yeah, the map layers and also, I mean, I'm just grateful to master a lot of things on Tableau, because I feel like, if you ask me in 2019, I don't even know Tableau exists or data storytelling exists. So I say map layering, but to be honest, I have so many things that I'm proud of, or I feel proud of mastering.
Yep, that's cool. And the fourth question is, when you're in the flow using Tableau, what are you usually doing?
Many things.
Many things.
I have a very weird way of working. I'm focused on Tableau, for instance. I'm focused on my work, but I need all my senses to be sensitized in different ways. So I have the music playing. Sometimes I have a chessboard opened on my, or my sketch pad or my iPad beside me. So it's like I felt like it sounds chaotic, but to me it's really about me ensuring that all my senses are playing its role as I focus on the thing that I do in Tableau. I don't know whether it makes sense even, but it's like, yeah. Well, we women are multitaskers, I guess. So
I also find sometimes the music you're listening to in the background sort of influences work speed
yes.
and different things as well. Yeah.
Yes. And right now I am on Sleep Token. I'm on Sleep Token a lot. You know the band Sleep Token?
No, I heard you talk about it before, but I haven't listened to the music. Yeah.
It's a metal band. Yeah, it's a metal band. And yeah, so I love to listen to them, or Ghost, or any of the other more hard rock and metal bands when I'm doing my Tableau stuff. Yeah.
Awesome. And the last question, if you could describe your Tableau style in 3 words, what would they be and why?
I love to say that they are raw. They're raw, raw, playful, and human.
Awesome. Yeah. Very good.
I think that's that's all I can say.
But there's no wrong answer. So that's good. All playful and human. That's right.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay. Thank you for that. Just a plug for the next tug, and as I said, we'll unmute everyone so we can chat at the end if there's people still around, but there's definitely people here.
Yeah.
So the next tug is Stacey presenting emergency Tableau dashboard needed stat. Again, it's on June 10 or 9th, depending on where you are in the world. Obviously, we're sort of in a more US time slot in the next few days, because if you're in Europe, I don't think you're going to wake up at 1 a.m. for this one. But Stacey's in Hawaii, so we need to concentrate on that Hawaiian time zone. So she's actually got hopefully the sun up when she's presenting. Or the sun's sort of heading to Sydney really quickly, but that's good. And
great.
all these recordings, obviously this recording and all the other online tugs are usually on the Team DataFam channel. If you cannot listen, or if you cannot watch it on YouTube, you can listen to it on the podcast. There's Spotify, Apple, etc. If anyone wants to present, email me at team.datafam@gmail.com. I didn't check the little banner on the side, but I don't think we've got to 3,200 hours yet, but there's over 3,100 hours of watch time on there and over 1,100 subscribers. So if anyone wants to learn anything about Tableau, including watching Shazeera's recording from tonight, that's the place to go. Watch the recording, download it as a podcast. You can listen to it while you're driving or doing the gardening or something outside, whichever you want to. But thank you for your time tonight. It was awesome. It was great to see. I loved how the superheroes like featured throughout the slides and things like that. So it was very good. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. But I mean, I would love to hear your feedback as well, Chris, if you have any, or
Yeah.
anyone.
So what I'll do now, that's the end of the meeting easily, and I'm just going to add everyone as a presenter and a moderator. So as you see that you've got access, you can unmute yourself, turn on your camera, ask any questions you have. Obviously, Shazeera is wanting some feedback as well, which is always good. Just got to click on a million things over here to add everyone in. There's no easy way to just go the whole room.
Yeah.
And this is what always happens. No one's turning their cameras on. No one's turning their microphones on. And I've talked Andy into it.
It's just finding where the buttons appear, because the buttons weren't there before and now suddenly they are once you add us. So yes, yep. Bottom left if anybody's struggling to find them.
Gosh, it felt so different presenting on online and in person.
I need to find out how you did that. So I understand when you did the survey, the Google Doc, but I've never seen the graph update in the slides at the same time. That's pretty cool.
Okay, I did various ways. Before I was doing it also on Tableau. I have the chart on Tableau. But then something happened during the presentation in TC. So I changed to Google Doc quickly. But yeah, there's also the chart on my Tableau public. There's no questions, nothing. It's fine if there's no questions.
Anna saying she can't turn her audio on. You should have control. It should be down in the bottom left. But even my camera was cutting out during that. I'd sort of, as a presenter, I would never actually just turn off my camera. And it's just like, ooh, why is my screen black? It's sort of, I just sort of left it a while and saw what happened, and then it turned on again. So I don't know.
I definitely agree with what you were saying, though, Shazeera, in terms of presenting in this, where you're just speaking to the camera versus doing it in person, where you can actually vibe off the crowd, is a very different feel. But no, that was great. I mean, I put in the chat, but just such an original way of kind of, walking through those things and kind of bringing in, obviously, your art and stuff. But yeah, really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thanks, Andy. There is a follow-up plan from there at the moment to expand the characters as a way to raise awareness and also educate people on how to tell stories. So I can't give away a lot of things because it's still in discussion. But then there's a lot of, after the presentation in TC, it's very interesting how people come to me, and I love to see the joy. Like, I love to see how people are just having fun in a way. And I'm up against deaf stage, which is daunting because I want to go to deaf stage and I couldn't. So because I'm presenting, but then it's such a joy to see people come to me and ask me more about it. And so either, there were a lot of ideas, like either I create a series of comics about how these superheroes are working in Tableau universe or fighting the enemies in the Tableau universe, which is also a cool idea, and also other stuff. I mean, I'm always open to hear as well and to collaborate, because I think that's what the DataFam is for us to collaborate and to bounce ideas from one another, right? So be happy to. So if anyone wants to drop me a message on LinkedIn, or want to have a chat about anything, art, music, just don't hesitate. I love doing that with people.
I opened up your dashboard today about and now I forget it, but your IronViz entry, sort of talking about music. And I sort of thought the dashboard was this size, and you always think that you click on something, it goes down this way. And I clicked on it, didn't work, and I went, oh, it goes this way. And it was just like, it was awesome that it was just like, it was really long, but at screen height. And but it was interesting because it was a timeline, and everyone sort of makes long timelines, and you'd made a timeline that actually went from left to right across the timeline.
Yes.
That's cool.
Yes. I lesson learned, actually. I should create something like, like an arrow or something where I push it, but instead I just ooh, let it go as long as it wants.
Yep.
And I like how you describe it as a timeline, because it is like that. Like when I did it, I was thinking the 10 years also include the year of the pandemic where you don't really get to enjoy live music, and what does it mean to me? So yeah, so that's the story that I wanted to tell.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, it was good. It was really cool. But as I said, it sort of caught me for a minute because I didn't know how to scroll. And then as soon as I saw the scroll bar,
Have
I
a
was like, I get
scroll,
it
a
now.
scroll bar.
It's over there.
No, good feedback. Definitely.
Yeah. No.
I'll do that for this year's Iron Race submission.
Yeah.
If ever I want to do a long. But Benjamin seems to want to say
Hello.
something. Hi, Benjamin.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you. Where are you? Where are you at the moment?
I'm in Namibia right now.
Oh,
Namibia.
cool.
Do you know where that is?
Yes.
Okay. So I missed the presentation. I was on my computer typing away, and I forgot that I was supposed to check in at the top of the hour. So that's why I can't comment on your presentation. However, I did a quick Google search about you, and I saw that you did something about human rights, and there were some comics about that. Is that you? Can you just mention a few things, how and if that is still work, if you're still doing work in that area, and if you're doing any visualization to tell those stories?
That's a good question. This year, no. But yes, I'm still active in that field. Just to share, I've been transitioning into the financial service since 2022. But for the last 18 years before that, I was a human rights lawyer. So I was working in a human rights field. And yes, I tell the stories of the cases and the stories that I encounter in my work through comics. So you can also check them out. You are right. I draw comics about that, and I draw those comics for different human rights organizations as well, like Amnesty International, International Commission of Jurists. I do that, and from time to time, they still invite me to do that as well. And in terms of data visualization, yes, I still, and sometimes from time to time, I also volunteer for Vis for Social Good, and now Data Change Makers. I think I could never leave that passion, to work on human rights issues. And if you are keen, you can check my Tableau public. I did some visualizations as well. The one that I sort of had a very interesting conversation was the one that I did about the last words of prisoners in rows in the Texan prison, where I tried to do a text analysis of the last words that the death row prisoners say before they are executed. So I look forward. I always look forward to visualize data on human rights. It's been my passion for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really nice. I think I'll reach out to you because that's like visualizing quantitative data, and I think it's something that is lacking where people barely um, want to share any visualization for qualitative data, and they just want to tell. It's a lot of text, and so you get. If there's anything missing with Tableau right now, is how to visualize a lot more. Qualitative data in such a way that is engaging, almost as quantitative data does. Yeah, thank you very much.
You're welcome, Benjamin. Any other?
Anna's still got a microphone problem. I think when she logged in, she blocked the microphone on her browser window.
Yeah.
She's not typing in the chat.
Right.
Evelyn, did you have anything to say or not? It's completely your choice, so it's okay.
If not, you can find me on LinkedIn. I'm and especially I think what Benjamin was saying is also interesting because I've done in the past as well collaborations with different people on human rights topics, and it was also a lesson, a really great lesson learning experience for me as well to keep doing that. So again, don't hesitate to contact me about art, music, and human rights if those are things that you are passionate about. Always happy to have a chat.
And Anna's just apologizing because she's looking at your comics. I think I did the same thing this afternoon. You just start to go down a rabbit hole because you go, that's cool, and that's cool, and that's cool. It's just like, hang on, I've been.
I'm also at the moment writing a book. So let's see if it gets published or not.
Yep.
Yeah. There's different ways of expressing ourselves. So.
What kind of book?
It's a crazy book. It's a.
but an educational book or a novel or a graphic novel or all of the above?
It's an anthology. It's an anthology of short stories.
Okay.
Where I try to write about fairy tales for older people, you know, and for us, for the adults.
With your illustrations in it as well, I hope.
You were discussing it with the editor because it's too much. I mean, I'm trying to do a lot of things here. That's my problem. I try to do a lot of things, and I have to sort of prioritize as well. You know, I have a family, I have a work, and the DataFam, so I need to prioritize. But yeah.
I know, good stuff. so even though I wasn't actually trying to push Evelyn to be on microphone or camera, and she's saying it's not the ideal time for her, so that's fine as well. So Anna's dropping off. We could stay here and talk all night because it'll be good, or all day, but everyone's got to get back to work at some point.
Definitely, it's especially me, but it has been such an honor to be on this tag, and also to speak with everyone. It's cool.
And you too. It's awesome to see, and obviously you can have the recording and share it around so that everyone who missed it, you know, was at TC and missed it or didn't even get to TC can see that. I think it was awesome. So that's great.
Awesome. Thank you to you guys for doing this, and hopefully we can meet each other one day.
Maybe one day, hopefully. Easy. Okay. Thanks a lot.
Awesome. Thanks
a lot, everyone.
Okay.
Have a good day or good evening.
Bye.
Bye.